It's time for Physician Family Finances, the show where physician moms and dads like you can get the answers and encouragement you need to turn a good earned income into great life outcomes for tomorrow and today.
Hello, physician moms and dads. I'm Nate Renicky, certified financial planner and primary advisor.
And I am Chelsea Jones, also a certified financial planner and primary advisor here at Physician Family.
Chelsea, we were going to talk about retirement withdrawals a few weeks ago, but then the big tax bill came out, the one big beautiful bill. So we pivoted, but we're circling back because you get some of these questions from retired docs or on people on the cusp of retirement. So I thought it would be good to get some of the big questions answered. So for our listeners, we didn't get these specific questions, but we get some version of these questions all the time. And we used to do this a lot. We're thinking about bringing it back where we take one topic and sort of go a little deeper than just one question on an episode. So if you're wondering about retirement withdrawals, here are kind of the top few questions that we get asked. All right. Ready, Chelsea?
Ready.
Okay. Before I ask you the first question, I want to set the stage just a little bit. Imagine for our listeners, if you're not on the cusp of retirement, when you get there, basically you have this big pile of money, except the problem is it's not a big pile of money. It's more like 4 piles of money. Hopefully they're all pretty big, but they're in different buckets, right? We call them buckets, tax buckets. So Chelsea, before we get to the first question, because it will matter for the first one, can you sort of just describe the buckets?
Yeah. So the first bucket, that's probably the most common, is going to be your tax deferred bucket, which is, that's your 401ks, that's your rollover IRAs, 403bs, pension plans. If you have a lump sum you can take out of a pension or something, that's going to be tax deferred. So the contributions that you make to those accounts, you got a tax break on it. So that means that all of the dollars within those accounts are most likely, you haven't paid any taxes on any of those dollars. So anytime that you make a distribution, it's going to be completely taxable as regular income.
Yes.
The second bucket is going to be a Roth account. So a Roth account is an account that you have contributed to with post-tax dollars. So you've already paid taxes on the contributions. If it's in a Roth account, it grows tax-free. And when you take the money out in retirement, there are no taxes owed. So that has tax-free growth. Roth, you pay the taxes up front, no taxes later. The tax deferred, you save the taxes up front to pay them later, ideally when you're at a lower tax bracket.
Right.
The third bucket is going to be your taxable bucket. So that's just a regular old brokerage account. So tax deferred and Roth accounts, those are going to be specifically for retirement, like as defined in our tax code. Yeah, taxable accounts are just a regular brokerage account. Anyone can open it up. There's no like contribution limits. There's no income limits. But you fund it with after-tax dollars, and then the gains are taxed at capital gains rates when you take them out in retirement.
Okay, so pre-tax dollars is good while you're working, but you pay more taxes when you get to retirement. Or not, I shouldn't say more. You pay taxes.
You just pay the taxes. Yeah.
Still really beneficial to use because you're at a high tax rate now, and ideally theoretically you'd be at a lower tax rate when you retire because you're not taking as much money out of these accounts. The middle path is the taxable account. It's the most expensive to fund because you have to pay with post-tax dollars, and then later you pay taxes again at capital gains rates. But in retirement, it gives a lot of flexibility. So that's the benefit. That's why you do it. And then Roth, very, very good for most people. For physicians who are especially earning a lot, it's not as beneficial as the prayer. But once the money is in there and you get to retirement, it's fantastic because there's no taxes on the growth. Okay.
That's right.
So this runs into something we hear about all the time, or I guess we do for families that we serve, which is Roth conversions. Okay,
Mhm.
so the question is, when should I begin proactive backdoor Roth conversions? So obviously, I think we should start with what that is.
Yep. So the phrase proactive backdoor Roth conversions, I think, is a combination of in my mind, what are two distinct times you would do a Roth conversion. So there's the backdoor Roth specifically is going to be for while you're working,
Mm-hmm.
right? So um, once the tax deferred bucket is full for physicians, because that's the best place to put money now when you're a high earner. Once you've maxed out your 401k, the next best place in your HSA, the next best place to put money is the backdoor Roth. You don't get the immediate tax break, but you also make too much to deduct the IRA contribution. And so you don't have a choice. Any IRA contributions you make, if you make more than it, I think it's like $150,000, you can't
Yeah.
deduct traditional IRA contributions. So you're not getting the tax break on your IRA contributions in most cases as a physician. But what you can do is this Roth conversion, which takes this post-tax contribution in the IRA and moves it into the Roth IRA where it can grow tax-free,
Yes.
right? So if it were
Yep.
to stay
So
in the traditional IRA, any growth would be taxable.
right.
That's the important part of getting it into the Roth, is for the tax-free growth.
Yeah. So the only reason to do this would be to do the conversion. So we still get questions all the time about backdoor Roths, or really, we still get families that just don't really understand what they are. So
Hmm.
you put it into this traditional IRA, but you're not getting the break, the tax break. So why even do it? So that you can roll it into the Roth, and you can't contribute
Hmm.
directly to the Roth because you make too much money too. Okay,
Exactly.
so that's one version of Roth conversions. There's a different version, kind of for retirees.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's what we typically call proactive Roth conversion. And we call it proactive because when you're retired, usually if you have money in a 401k or 403b, you'll roll it into an IRA when you retire, um, just so you can have more control over it.
Mm-hmm.
Can consolidate everything into one place. It's easier to keep track of, especially if you have multiple workplace plans. Um, but what proactive Roth conversions are for retirees is you're intentionally converting money from your regular IRA or your rollover IRA. You're converting a portion of that to Roth, intentionally paying the taxes on it, because like we talked about before, this is a tax deferred account.
Mm-hmm.
You made these contributions before tax, so anytime a distribution comes out of that tax deferred account, it's going to be taxable.
Right.
So you're intentionally paying those taxes so that the resulting distribution, can go into your Roth IRA. You invest it in the Roth IRA, and from there it can grow tax free.
Yeah, I think people miss this mainly because when they think about when they're retiring, they think that they're in a spending mode, like they're going to start
Hmm.
spending this money. But it's really important to know, especially for physicians who are retiring early, this money is going to be invested for decades.
That's
It's
right.
going to continue to be invested. So if you can get over to the Roth and give it 20 years to grow, it's
Hmm.
still going to be growing in the tax deferred account, and that's creating a bigger tax bill. So if you can do it now or do a portion and do it every year, then you can get more money into the Roth. And so how do you do this strategically? Because you're intentionally paying taxes,
Hmm.
but like how much do you convert?
It depends on, that's going to be a case by case basis.
Hmm.
But at a high level, we would typically fill up a certain tax bracket.
Right.
So if your regular spending, if you're taking out, $10,000 a month, that puts you in, I don't know, maybe the 20% effective rate,
Hmm.
filling up a portion of maybe the 22% bracket. You can intentionally convert enough to fill up to the top of the 22% bracket, but not go into the 24. So that way keeping the reins on your tax bill while also getting money into the Roth.
Yeah.
To get that tax-free growth.
So this is the whole thing, right? Without getting into what the tax brackets are or anything. So imagine you get to your total spend, healthcare, travel, monthly expenditures, gets up to a point where you're in the 22% tax bracket. And technically you could spend another, let's just say $20,000. You could spend another $20,000 and stay in that 22% tax bracket, or the 24, whatever you choose. But let's say 22% tax bracket, but you don't need to spend it. You're in December and you have no reason to spend it. So what you do is you go in, Chelsea, you go in with people and you say, okay, you have $20,000 left. Let's convert that 20,000, since you're still going to be paying this low tax bracket, 22%. Let's get 20,000 from your traditional IRA or your 401k or whatever it is, and move it into your Roth, convert it over. Right? Okay. So it is proactive. I mean, this is like opportunistic tax move.
Yeah, and there's a like a set of time where this is most beneficial. It's after retirement, but before you hit RMD age.
Yes.
Because once you hit 70, whatever, it's a range now, depending on when you were born. It could be RMD age ranges, but once you hit RMD age, money is going to be coming out of that IRA, whether you like it or not. And so that's another reason to do these proactive Roth conversions, because it's moving money into that Roth IRA bucket, and it would lower the amount of your RMD once you hit RMD age. So if you're able to take out, enough to live off of, but once your RMD kicks in, you have to take out substantially more than what it takes to live and pay those taxes. You can do a lot of good with proactive Roth conversions to mitigate all of that.
Because if you have too much money in there, they make you, the IRS makes you take out a big distribution. I guess what you would need to do is reinvest it in a taxable account, but you're reinvesting it. So you're paying taxes on it, then you're going to invest it to eventually pay taxes on it again. So do the best you can, convert as much as you can before that. Okay. Anything else? I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for the Roth conversions.
Okay. So we got this question and answered it on the last episode, but I think just for, to be complete here, this is a big question for retirement withdrawals, which is the best account to withdraw from first?
Yeah. And what I said last time was the general rule of taxable accounts first, then your tax deferred accounts, and leave the Roth accounts for last. Let them grow tax-free as long as they possibly can. But now that we had that first question, we can probably see how it could be a mixture of, like, you're not just taking out taxable money.
Sure.
If you do proactive Roth conversions, you would also be taking tax deferred money, pulling it out of that tax deferred bucket, paying some taxes, and putting it in the tax-free bucket. So it all ties together, and it can be complex depending on, the strategy. But if it comes down to just spending, and we're kind of ignoring the conversion part for a second, the taxable account is the one to draw from first. There's no early withdrawal penalty for that. And so if you happen to retire before 60, 59 and a half, then you're not going to get dinged for taking money out of your retirement fund if it's coming out of the taxable account.
I kind of take issue with this topic out there in the internet. I keep hearing people say, oh, the penalty's not that big of a deal. Like, what? Like, okay, I guess you can give more money to the IRS, but with careful planning and a taxable account, basically it gives you a ton of flexibility. You can retire early, which everybody says they want. So why not fill up a taxable account? I mean, of course you're going to fill up your pre-tax accounts, but the only reason I could kind of shrug my shoulders and say, who cares so much about the penalty? Don't worry about it too much, is if you get to the end of the road and you could retire early. You have enough to retire early, but you're going to have to pay some penalties to do it. Well, that would
Hmm.
probably be worth it because you're buying a couple extra years of retirement, maybe, and
Hmm.
the result is some penalties. But with careful planning and filling up a taxable account, um, you wouldn't need to do that. You wouldn't need to just give more money to the IRS. You've already given them enough your entire career. Um, Fill up a taxable account. If you have extra money and your plan doesn't require it, do it anyways so that it buys you some flexibility. If you don't have extra money and your plan's going along fine, you're going to retire at 64 years old,
Hmm.
it's okay. You don't have to have a big fat taxable account, but taxable accounts buy you flexibility because they don't have these early withdrawal penalties, and therefore usually they go first.
Hmm. Yeah, and another unique thing about taxable accounts is um, the income that you realize on these taxable accounts, that it's not regular earned income, it's
Mm-hmm.
investment income. And so if you don't have any earned income and you're taking money out of a taxable account, your capital gains rate is based on your earned income rate.
Mm-hmm.
There's three um, brackets. It's either 0, 15, or 20 in the current tax law. And
Right.
so if you're taking money out of, say, your IRA to live off of, um, then you're paying more than you would out of a taxable account because
Right.
you could potentially be pushed down into a very low capital gains rate,
Yeah.
which, again, going back to the Roth conversions, also opens up basically the entire tax bracket to fill
Yes.
up
Yeah.
for the proactive Roth conversions.
Yeah. The first few years of retirement for physicians, this is a lot of tax money to be saved.
Mhm.
And physicians tend to be, especially W-2 physicians, it can be frustrating on how little tax strategy you can use. Like, well, you're filling up your accounts at work, you're doing the best you can, but you still feel like you're paying a ton in taxes.
Mhm.
Account structure and doing this right when you actually reach retirement age, this is your time to shine with taxes. Don't give it
Yeah.
away in penalties.
Yeah.
And do some planning. I mean, with some careful planning, you could save a boatload of taxes. So you should.
You should.
Okay. Um, Next question is, part of my retirement goals is to give money to charity. What approaches should I think about?
Mhm.
It's interesting. I got this one actually yesterday, writing a new plan for a family that's going to retire pretty early. And they wanted to continue to give to their, local church.
Mhm.
Um, and we put it in the plan, and this is part of that. So what should people do if they have they know they want to give money to charity, so they want to plan for it?
Mhm. Yeah, you get the most, I guess you have the most options with this if you have a taxable account.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most, I think, frequently used charitable distribution option is gifting appreciated securities. And you could either do that just as straight transferring securities to your charity or your church if they're able to receive those,
Mm-hmm.
or you can do it through a donor advised fund.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so,
Which, but real
to,
quick, a lot of a lot of places that I hear physicians that where they give money that
mhm,
they can't just take securities. Some of
right,
them can, some families we're serving, they have these big organizations they're giving money to, and they've got this all figured out. You can just give them the securities, but
yeah,
many smaller organizations don't have the ability just to accept your highly appreciated.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the donor advised fund comes in.
Hmm.
Um, and the donor advised fund is good for people who need to bunch their contributions into one year. So
Yes.
say um, you typically give, I don't know, maybe 10,000 a year, but you
Hmm.
have to give at least, I don't know, I'm making these numbers up, but you have to give at least 50,000 to get an actual tax break on your tax return.
Right.
Um, So this donor advised fund lets you make a contribution in one year and then actually spread out the the giving a little bit. It's a completed gift. And so
Hmm.
it's technically not yours anymore, but the donor
Yes.
advised fund allows you to have a say in where that money goes and when it goes there. So donor advised funds are good for lumping contributions into one tax year, so that way you can get the maximum deduction
Yep.
and then redirecting them.
Yeah. So this is uh, when you're taking deductions. You're retired. You got a paid off house. You probably don't have mortgage interest anymore. It's hard to
Mhm.
do anything more than the standard deduction. But if you
Yeah.
can put $100,000 into this account right now, then you can get the deductions moving forward, and then you use that account to achieve your giving goals. And
Mhm.
at least in the case the family I was talking to yesterday, we were talking about maybe giving $1,500 a month or $1,200 a month, and
Mhm.
they're going to have a ton of money in a taxable account because they want to retire at 55, so they're going to have a big taxable account. And they already do at age 36. So
Mhm.
this is a perfect strategy for them. Probably the money they have in there right now at 36 years old is the money that they will put in a donor advised fund when they're 55,
Mhm.
right? Because these are going to be the most appreciated securities. It's going to be another 20 years from now. And they're going to have a tiny, tiny little basis, and they'll avoid having to pay a ton of capital gains on that
Mhm.
while
Yeah.
accomplishing their goal.
Yeah, because I did want to, I don't think we explicitly explained this. The whole reason you would gift appreciated securities is so that you didn't have to pay those gains,
That's
the
right.
capital gains
Yeah.
taxes on the gain. Um,
Now, I want to point something out. This is less charitable of me to point it out, but so far, this is a good strategy to save in taxes. But you have to give away money to do it,
yeah.
right? And a lot of times, we want these great tax loopholes that somehow like I don't give away any money or I don't spend any money. This is like it's great to get mortgage interest deduction, but at the end of the day, you're paying interest to
Hmm.
get the deduction.
Yeah.
A lot of people will not pay off their mortgage because they get a tax break. And like, well, does that, so you don't pay, 35% on your mortgage, on the taxes for the money you put towards the interest, but you still had to pay
Hmm.
$20,000 in interest to get it.
Yeah.
So this is mainly a goal driven tax break. If you already know you're,
Yes.
you're going to be kind of charitably minded, then you would take
Hmm.
this strategy.
Yeah. And another gifting strategy I can touch on here. This is for people who are well into retirement. You have to be at least 70 and a half to do this, but you can make qualified charitable distributions. So
Mm.
this is basically um, you use it to satisfy all or part of your RMD, your required minimum distribution for that year.
Oh.
But instead of it being taxable income to you, it's not taxed because you're giving it away.
Hmm.
Um, there is a limit. You can only do this for up to $100,000 a year um, per person. And there's a little bit of confusion because, like I said earlier, RMD ages differ based on your year of birth. But for these qualified charitable distributions, it's just 70 and a half.
Mm.
As long as
Okay.
you're 70 and a half, you can do these.
Okay.
As yeah, I guess that rule just didn't catch up with the Secure Act yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the last question then.
Okay.
I want to work part time or kind of ultra part time in retirement. How will this impact my Social Security?
So the way that this question is phrased, I am assuming that you're already retired and you're receiving Social Security, a Social
Hmm.
Security benefit. So if you go back to work and you're earning, if you're married and you earn as a household at least, I think it's about $44,000, a portion of your Social Security benefit is going to be taxable. I think if you make more than $44,000, 85% of your benefit will be taxable, your Social Security benefit. Um, and if you make between like maybe 10 and 44, half of it is taxable. Um, and so how will it impact your social security? A portion of your benefit will be taxed.
Hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, and you can also, again, deeper planning could be done at any point. It's like, are
Hmm.
you taking social security before your full retirement age, after at
Yeah.
70, which is the latest you can take it and get a higher benefit. Um, yeah, but the main takeaway is that if you're making enough, then your benefit is going to be taxable. Part of it
Yeah.
is.
This is just people who want to work ultra part-time, usually that there is some a purpose behind it. They want to
Mhm.
work. And so if you don't want to work and you think you have to work, then it just requires a plan. And it's like, is it really worth it given that you'll pay higher taxes? Usually I don't
Mhm.
really think that's the case. And so yeah, you'll get taxed on Social Security if you're working and taking Social Security at the same time. It's not going to hurt you as far as your ability to fund retirement. It'll probably help you because
Mhm.
you're earning money,
Yeah.
right? So, and you'll get other tax breaks too. If you have the option to probably fund your workplace plan, save some taxes there. So, but yes, people ask that. I'm not really sure where that comes from, like what fear is behind this, but
Mhm.
obviously it will be taxed. So,
Yeah.
okay, so those were really the top kind of questions. Um, I before we were talking, there was something you were saying about kind of a big takeaway. It's not really a question you get, but it's one I think you think people miss. So, what's the one thing you want everyone to know about spending money in retirement?
Mhm. Yep. So I'll preface this with kind of giving an idea of what we talk about in the accumulation phase when we're talking about saving for retirement. If you do a plan with us, you'll hear us talk about the different levers that you can pull before
Mm,
retirement to kind of get your plan where you want it to be. Um, you could adjust how much you spend in retirement. You can adjust your retirement age. You can adjust your investments, assuming that your risk tolerance allows for it. Um, you can save more
hmm
um, earlier. But once you're retired, unless you're willing to go back to work, if you need to make an adjustment in retirement, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be adjusting your spending.
Right.
If you're retired, you have to be ready to make an adjustment in your spending at some point
Yeah.
in your retirement, unless you just have some people
Yeah.
are super prepared and have saved really more than they would need.
Yeah.
Um, but most people, you're going to have to adjust your spending at least once,
Yeah.
guaranteed, when you're retired.
Of course. I think that there is this feeling of I want control over my plan.
Mhm.
Um, I don't want to have to think about spending. I don't want to have to I just want to ignore all that and just have plenty of money. That takes a
Mhm.
ton of preparation.
It
And you
does.
can be prepared enough for that, but it would take some serious saving. And really what it takes is appropriate spending compared to how much you have saved. Because the guy
Mhm.
that spends $5,000 a month doesn't need a ton saved to retire. But if you
Yeah.
want to be able to just freely spend $15,000, $20,000 a month,
Mhm.
you're gonna need a ton of money. So if you don't have a ton of money, but you still could retire, you just need to be able to be flexible. And
Exactly.
there's times that you will experience in retirement because you're hopefully going to have a long, good retirement, 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
Um, you, if the market's down and it's down for a long period of time, you just need to be able to adjust. And so the ways you can adjust is to get all of your fixed expenses down as low as you can. This is
Mhm.
paying off debt, making sure you enter into retirement with a well kept house, things
Mhm.
like that. Um, but at the end of the day, if you're just willing to be flexible, a lot of the worries about entering retirement can go away.
Mhm.
Um, like you said, if you're not willing to go back to work. So, funny thing, I kind of like when people have big travel goals because in the
Mhm.
back of my head, secretly, my almost like evil plan is that if something really bad happens, they could just not travel that year.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. And we're not preparing for that. We're preparing a plan that allows them to travel. But if
Yeah.
something were to happen, well, you could always shift this.
Mhm.
Um, and so if they have, big healthy travel goal and, let's say it's $50,000 a year And it's like, okay, well, maybe this year you're only spending 25.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are totally fine with that when I finally reveal my evil plan. They're like, oh, yeah, I could definitely do that. So,
yeah.
Okay, that's good. One lever in retirement, so be prepared, have a plan. That is it for today. As you know, you can go to our website, physicianfamily.com, and schedule an interview with us. You'll take a quiz to see if, kind of get pre-qualified for an interview. And then we'll meet. We'll see if we're a match. You can decide if you want to move forward. We sell one-time plans that have a regret-free guarantee. So you can get a plan from Chelsea or you get a plan from me. And if you don't like it or didn't give you what you thought, we will give you your money back. And then after that, if you want to move forward and let us help you through the kind of all sorts of stages, preparing for retirement, actually retiring, we can do that too. If you're not ready for that, please go to this podcast episode. If you enjoyed it, like it, share it, and subscribe to our podcast so that we can get the word out to other physicians just like you. That is it for today. So until next time, remember, you're not just making a living, you're making a life.
Are you ready to turn worries about taxes and investing into all the money you need for college and retirement? It's time to make a plan and get on track. To find out if we're a match, visit physicianfamily.com and click Get Started. Or you can ask a question of your own by emailing podcast@physicianfamily.com. See marketing disclosures at physicianfamily.com/disclosures.